episode of Surviving the Survivor, we bring you the best guests in all of true crime. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. It is the show that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. And when there is a massive trial going on, we bring you live updates daily. And that is what is happening in the United States government versus Sean Diddy Combs, the biggest trial in all the land. There are no cameras, no electronics in there because it is federal court. Only a select few journalists have them. We've got some ties to some of these people, and so we've been monitoring it and bringing you each day around this time updates of what is happening in that specific trial. Today, we heard some critical testimony, and it had to do with a former hotel security guard at the now infamous Intercontinental Hotel in Century City, which is next to Los Angeles, inside of Los Angeles, however you want to put it. Who admitted in testimony today that he was offered $100,000 in cash to essentially bury surveillance video of Sean Diddy Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura. But as you know, that video was eventually leaked to CNN, and that is pretty much how we got to where we are today. Thank you to Canine Catherine, our friend in Maui, gifting us 5 Surviving the Survivor memberships. Without that video that was leaked, some question if we would be here at all today. Talking about, I haven't confirmed this yet, but there's one particular woman who walks around in an MTA, in a subway uniform. I'm wondering if this is her, and I talked about it with Lauren Conlon on the show last night. I'm going to text Lauren and find out if it was in fact her. But finally, someone was actually thrown out of the courtroom, and it was a woman. And she had been seemingly a fan of Sean Diddy Combs. There you see her. That is her. That's not what she was wearing every day, but it could be her. So basically, she screamed out in open court, not the overflow room, but the actual courtroom, "Diddy, these mother effers laughing at you." And she used the full word. She did not turn it into a bit of a contraction, but she used the entire MFer word in court, and she was thrown out after that. Prosecutors and defense, they began their day discussing evidentiary issues. This is typically how they start their day. This time, specifically about introducing excerpts from Sean Combs's jail calls, where he discussed planning a birthday party via social media. And why is this important? It would directly rebut the defense's claim that this former employee, Mia, his former assistant, who was on the stand the last 3 days or so, that she was posting on his birthday, that would prove that she wasn't traumatized. That's what the defense was trying to say. But here the government is essentially saying that she was just carrying out essentially a business plan for Sean Diddy Combs, and she was pretty much forced into it. Even while facing sex trafficking charges, Sean Combs, as you can see, was allegedly still thinking about controlling narratives, a pattern fitting, of course, the government's theme of coercion and manipulation. And Sean Diddy Combs is going to be scratching that head potentially for a very long time. Again, this woman thrown out, showing that it adds there's tension building in the court of public opinion here. There are a lot of people down at the federal courthouse. It is not a cut and dry necessarily federal RICO case, but it is infused with fan culture, celebrity ego, and obviously a lot of deep divisions within that courtroom and within the courtroom of public opinion. Interestingly, another man was barred from the courtroom because on his YouTube channel, which is embarrassing to us YouTubers, he was using Mia's real name. And so the judge found out about this. Obviously, she gave testimony under a pseudonym, whoever this person was. And I don't have the handle. Even if I did, I don't know that I would use it. But this person, because I don't want people going there, he was basically banned from court for using the actual name, for using Mia's actual name. So you can see here now the media, particularly um, people via social media, are sort of bleeding in to the day-to-day of this trial, which is now in its fourth week, 15th day of testimony. The main witness for the morning, who took up most of the oxygen all morning long, is a guy named Eddie, with a Y at the end, not I-E, but Eddie with a Y. Eddie Garcia. He is the ex-Intercontinental Hotel security guard. He was testifying under immunity after having invoked the fifth. So he was given immunity to testify, and you're going to find out pretty much why that happened. He was 24 at the time, which was back in March of 2016. So this is roughly 9 years ago. He'd be 33 or so right now. He was a new security officer at the hotel at the time. He testified. This is a still shot. You could see Cassie huddled in the corner there after being beaten by Sean Diddy Combs. This is actually not in the hallway, but I believe later on down in the security area, I think when she was being let out, if I'm correct about that. But this is not the hallway per se. This security guard, Eddie Garcia, says that he did not initially recognize either Sean Combs or Cassie Ventura on the surveillance tape of the assault. And here you have to wonder how someone so junior has become a pivotal player in this essentially black market cover-up. It says a lot about how quickly power dynamics can corrupt people. This guy, again, at the time was only 24 years old. Now, this brings into play a person that we've heard a lot about, and she is Christina Coram. She was Sean Combs' chief of staff, and she, this is all according to Eddie Garcia on the stand now, was the first to call him about getting Cassie's video. Garcia tells Miss Coram, Christina Coram, he says, look, off the record, this is a direct quote, it's bad. She shows up, Christina Coram does, in person and tries again to get this video, essentially framing Sean Combs as being both drunk and forgetful. So giving him sort of an excuse, a built-in alibi, and saying, hey, can I please have the tape? He didn't realize what he had done. He's, likes his drinks, et cetera. But the defense keeps trying to, the defense keeps trying to frame Sean Combs as sloppy or careless. But here, obviously, we are seeing that they are immediately going into damage control mode, saying, hey, we need this video. So they might be trying to cast him as this, drunk, drug-addicted boss who's just forgetful. Not the case, because you can see he's hell-bent on getting that video back. According to this guy, Eddie Garcia, he now gets directly, there's a sketch of the beating here. As I play the video in court, and you can see Sean Combs is looking away, apparently. Eddie Garcia says that Sean Combs sounded very nervous, and says to Eddie Garcia, this is person mano a mano, man to man, if this got out, it could essentially ruin me, is what he is saying that Sean Combs told him. And he tells Eddie Garcia, Sean Combs does, that he would, quote unquote, take care of me. He would take care of me. Interesting, because the language is very mob-like, very gangster-like. I'll take care of you in return for bearing a tape of an assault. Now, this stuff here definitely goes to the RICO charges specifically. It is a mob-style playbook. It is not just a typical boyfriend-girlfriend scenario. This is something that's much more. So wondering if the jury saw this in the same way. Then Eddie Garcia talks about negotiating the price of Cassie Ventura's video. This is really critical evidence. Garcia, his boss, so now the hotel workers are in on this in their own little mobster style. Garcia's boss tells him, well, we'll do it for $50,000. And when Garcia relays this information, so now that this is interesting. So now the hotel security guy's boss is having Eddie, the worker, relay information to Diddy and his corrupt team of people, which is now two sets of corrupt parties. Garcia told Diddy, according to his testimony, yeah, the boss says we'll do it for 50 grand. And when Garcia tells this to Sean Combs, Eddie Garcia says that Sean Diddy responds by saying, and I quote, "Eddie, my angel, I knew you could help. I knew you could do it." So suddenly, when he gets what he wants or thinks he's about to get what he wants, this 24-year-old security guard becomes Sean Combs's angel. "Eddie, my angel, I knew you could help. I knew you could do it." And it's almost like The Sopranos. I feel like he's going to give him a little love pat to the cheek here. This is almost like a cult-like tone that Sean Diddy Combs is using, just calling this random guy my angel as he's trying to buy off the potential evidence incriminating him. So it doesn't end there. Sean Combs says, Eddie Garcia says that Sean Combs meets Eddie Garcia at a private apartment. It's unclear whether or not it was Eddie Garcia's own apartment. And at this point, Eddie Garcia signs an NDA that he says he did not read, which is interesting because Sean Combs is essentially here trying to get this video removed, and he's trying to do it hastily, but he takes the time to arrive at a meeting with Eddie Garcia with an NDA in hand, which almost sounds comical if it wasn't so pathetic and serious. Eddie Garcia says, "I was nervous. I was in a rush to get out of there," as to why he didn't sign it. Now, the NDA, it contained a $1 million penalty for breach of contract. So if he was to break this NDA, he would now own basically Sean Diddy Combs $1 million. And this is all about illicit and illegal inner workings. This is all about trying to get rid of a tape where Sean Diddy Combs is in effect beating Cassie Ventura. And now he's telling this guy, Eddie Garcia, "Hey, if you break my NDA, you're going to owe my company $1 million. So it also shows that this is not Sean Diddy Combs' first rodeo covering up damaging events. I mean, he's showing up literally with a contract in hand saying you got to do it my way or the highway. According to Eddie Garcia, Sean Combs, presumably right in front of him, then FaceTimes Cassie Ventura. This is after he gets the little USB, the little hard drive with the video. He now FaceTimes Cassie Ventura and says, "Let him know," meaning Cassie, "let him know that you want this to go away too." So he is having Cassie underscore the importance of this video disappearing in all forms and facets. And this is via a FaceTime call between Cassie and Sean Combs while Eddie Garcia is there. Cassie tells Sean on the FaceTime call, according to testimony, that she had a movie coming out and it was all bad timing. This just obviously goes to show coercion, that Sean Diddy Combs is basically under the pressure of having Eddie Garcia there and Sean Combs himself saying, "Make sure that you tell him too that this goes away," fitting the theme of long-term control and manipulation, which is a key part of the sex trafficking case, which most people, again, believe that the government is doing a pretty good job of proving. As this cash transaction happens, Sean Combs does say, "I'm going to pay you this $100,000. He takes out a wad of money and runs it through a money counter. If this isn't mob-like behavior, I don't know what is. And then he tells Eddie Garcia, "Don't make any big purchases. Do not make any big purchases." He didn't want to tip anyone off, obviously. Sean Combs didn't. So Eddie Garcia said said he bought a used car with the $30,000 I kept, quote unquote. I bought a used car with $30,000 I kept. I did not report it to the IRS. I'm sure the IRS will come knocking after this. This is, again, to show organized concealment. Sean Diddy Combs essentially giving them the playbook on how to launder the money, practically speaking, even as he's sitting there running $100,000 through a money counter saying, here's your $100,000 in return for covering up my crime. By the way, don't spend it all in one place. Make sure you spend it frugally over time so you don't tip anyone off to the fact that some guy just gave you $100,000. There's a follow-up Easter call a few weeks later around Easter time. Eddie Garcia says Sean Diddy Combs calls him again. And what does he say? This is a quote according to Eddie Garcia. Eddie answers the phone and he hears, "Happy Easter, Eddie, my angel. Has anyone asked about the video?" Happy Easter, Eddie, my angel. Has anyone asked about the video? Showing here, this is likely not a one-off bribe. In fact, he kept up the relationship in this particular case to ensure that what he needed to be done was done. This is really, if you talk to lawyers, sort of a textbook witness tampering pattern where he's going back to people here and saying, yeah, integrity does not exist, not at all, in the lives of these S-bags, according to Julia Rock. 2024 is a bad year for Diddy. Might have been a good year for some wines. I have no idea because I'm not a wine drinker. But for Diddy, it was a bad year. This video comes out in 2024. And Garcia is now asked about it. He says that he had deleted all messages to colleagues regarding the original, essentially paying off to stay quiet. He also admits that he initially had lied to law enforcement. He says he only came clean after being granted immunity, and that was the only reason he was essentially showing up in court today, is that he invoked his Fifth Amendment right. He was given immunity, and therefore he felt comfortable enough to come up and talk. Now, if you're Eddie Garcia, you got to be nervous. You got to be wondering, hey, this guy's a lunatic, and now I'm here testifying in an open courtroom. Am I going to pay for this after the fact? Is someone going to come knocking on my door with a 2x4? Thank you, Jessica A. I really appreciate that, especially today where it is pouring rain once again, and every trial that we were going to cover has been continued. So I appreciate the comment. Helps on a day like today. The defense gets to cross Eddie Garcia, and it is Sean Diddy Combs' attorney, Brian Steele. And he says, look, you didn't even read the NDA. And within that NDA, apparently there are disclosures allowing law enforcement to somehow get involved with notice to Sean Combs, which is just the language in there that is being used. Very odd. And Brian Steele emphasizes that Garcia felt good about the transaction, even though Garcia, apparently, according to him, was checking his rear view mirror afterwards. What the defense is trying to do here, they're trying to argue that Eddie Garcia was a willing participant who was not coerced. And I don't know how much that matters, that he was a willing participant, because the entire setup of this is mob style, gangster style. The fact that he's getting called and getting called again and being offered $100,000. So does it even really matter that Eddie Garcia, per Brian Steele, Sean Diddy Combs' attorney, is kind of going along with it? It still sounds like a bribe to me. Late morning, just before lunch a short time ago, and they went a little later, so they're at lunch right now, a guy named Derek Ferguson takes the stand. He is the former chief financial officer of Combs Enterprises. That is the overarching company for Sean Diddy Combs, Combs Enterprises. He, too, is testifying, as most are, under subpoena. He says that he worked for Sean Combs from 1998 to 2017, and he was CFO of Bad Boy from 1998 to 2012. So for the last 5 years, becoming the CFO of the overarching of all the companies under the Sean Diddy Combs umbrella. He says that his responsibilities included budgets, accounting, record keeping, and at times even managing Sean Combs' personal finances. And what the government here is doing, they're basically showing him the money chain, that they're building the enterprise, the picture of this RICO enterprise of how Sean Combs operated both personally and through his companies. This guy Ferguson, Derek Ferguson, he testifies that he and Sean Combs were signatories on company bank accounts, meaning they could both sign off on the money. Prosecutors walked him through bank records for various Combs entities. And this is important for establishing direct financial control from Sean Combs. It was not he was not insulated. He was not distant. He was a primary facilitator in terms of moving money around. And I'm talking about Sean Combs here, not Derek Ferguson, but Sean Combs was a primary person within the company who was able to move money around the various enterprises. This guy Derek Ferguson talks about how Sean Combs used his American Express corporate card. He would sometimes charge both personal and business expenses. The finance team would then have to sort out which business account to use for repayment. Again, here we see commingling. It's a key element arguing that the man and the enterprise, that Sean Diddy Combs and his enterprise, was intertwined. It was one and the same. Derek Ferguson says that paying performers in cash was common practice early in his career with Sean Diddy Combs. Quote unquote, cash payments were an industry norm 20 years ago. So everything was done in cash, maybe to hide certain wrongdoings. Performers' managers would sometimes bring cash to the finance department. Interesting. And this could really cut both ways. The defense may argue that cash is normal in entertainment, but prosecutors can argue it was also a way to use funds that were essentially untraceable as part of this bigger enterprise known as Combs Enterprises. Derek Ferguson says he was not aware that Sean Combs' security guards carried cash for him. And the quote was, "It's not something I paid any attention to." And again, this creates some distance, but the prosecution is establishing that money moved in many different channels within the world of Sean Diddy Combs, and sometimes even beyond the formal chief financial officer's line of sight. So sometimes money was being transacted even when the CFO himself didn't know where the money was flowing to or from. Derek Ferguson, the CFO, confirms he knew Sean Diddy Combs provided financial support to family and friends through personal salaries and distributions. So he had personal salaries and distributions set up for both family and friends. He says he would sit down with Sean Combs at least once a year to review these personal finances. And again, just going to show the fact that Sean Combs was very hands-on with his money, again, potentially playing into these RICO charges. So just a short time ago, actually, the jury was dismissed for lunch. There'll be about 20 minutes of direct examination, redirect, after court resumes of this guy, Derek Ferguson. He's there really to show the money being funneled around and who was funneling it and who was not. The video, obviously, today, the $100,000 to keep this video suppressed, that's, I think, going to go a long way, including this $1 million NDA toward the racketeering or conspiracy charge. There's a pattern of cover-ups here that multiple witnesses are now showing Diddy's pattern of covering up incidents through these NDAs. That is Eddie Garcia, through these payments and controlled narratives. The defense, in terms of RICO, is trying to argue that it was just domestic violence, nothing more, nothing less, not racketeering or sex trafficking. They've conceded, yeah, there you go, always follow the money. They've conceded that, yeah, look, our client's a bad guy. He committed domestic violence, but these aren't the charges against him. But today's evidence suggests a much more sophisticated enterprise in terms of payoffs, document control. Thank you. These are the best mods in all of the YouTubes. I agree. So payoffs, document control, and then following up with calls and other sorts of monitoring. Yesterday, we literally heard about tracking devices. So this is beginning to look more and more like an organized crime entity, and that is exactly what the government is going for. Between the courtroom disruptions and the social media violations, both of which we saw today, one woman getting thrown out of court, trying to defend Sean Diddy Combs, yelling out, MFers are trying to laugh at you. Another YouTuber was banned from the courtroom for revealing Mia's name. This is showing that there is public pressure and also intimidation dynamics now kind of coursing through this trial. One other thing, even though this guy, Eddie Garcia, lied initially and admitted to law enforcement, the immunity deal and this thorough cross-exam make him a powerful witness for the government. Nevertheless, he is corroborating other people's testimony. And again, he invoked his Fifth Amendment right and was granted immunity. So far, there have been 23 witnesses, actually 24, including Derek Ferguson, and they range from Cassie Ventura in week 1. Of course, she is the government star witness, the former girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs. And then we heard from Capricorn Clark. We heard from Dawn Richard of Danity Kane fame, Kid Cudi, the rapper. So there have been a lot of big names already. Hotel security guards. We heard from a Homeland Security agent. We heard from Cassie's mother, Regina Ventura. We heard from forensic psychologist Dawn Hughes, from the makeup artist Mila Morales, and many, many more, including Sean Diddy Combs' former stylist and Cassie's former stylist, a guy named Deontay Nash, who was lighting the mood. But yeah, it is week 4, day 15 of testimony. The government, yes, Carrie Lee Vickers, just domestic violence. No, the government says it will probably conclude its case next week, and then the defense, I guess, is going to go. They say they're going to go longer than they anticipated, and I'm not sure if that means a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but this will likely, in my opinion, be over within the next 2 weeks or so. And yeah, someone here saying, look, I've seen a couple of YouTubers release Mia's actual name, and I saw them also play the birthday wish video that she made for Diddy on their channel. Shame on them. I agree. Yeah, Denisha here saying, Elenator Joel said a YouTuber got her name, and that YouTuber has now been banned from the courtroom. I wonder if the judge is going to. It's interesting because, you know, these defense teams and the government teams are obviously monitoring things like YouTube now. So it's a whole change in the landscape with people able to broadcast, and it is no longer just traditional media. So it's a bigger job as far as prosecuting or defending these cases, to know what is going on the airwaves. And obviously they've got people looking at this. Did this former CFO get immunity for testimony? That's a good question. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know that the CFO wanted immunity, but I know that Derek Ferguson was subpoenaed. I haven't heard anything. If you guys know, let me know. I still think his mama should be sitting right beside him. She's in it just as deep. I would not doubt that at all. Supposedly, he put a lot of assets in her name. I have no doubt that that's the case. I'm sure it happened or is happening even around this trial, because he stands to lose so much. So tonight, the plan is, just so you know, 7:00 Eastern time. Steve Cohen has gotten us some guests from Charlie Adelson's prison in South Dakota, where there has been rioting and stabbings over the last week or 10 days. And they're not able to tell the public whether Charlie Adelson was involved or targeted. It's set to be gang skirmishes and gang fights. Of course, we know that the Latin Kings gang is not too pleased with Charlie Adelson. We're trying to get more information as we go through the day on that, but it sounds like we're going to try to see what we can get information-wise on Charlie's current situation. I think it's the Jameson Annex in South Dakota. Neil Campbell, most YouTubers don't have journalistic integrity like us. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And, we're all, this entire channel, we're former broadcast people. So we kind of come to the table with that and make it a point to try to act with integrity most of the time. Joel, when will you decide if you'll go back to New York for the trial? This is intense. If Sean takes the stand, I'll be there. Maybe I go back for the verdict. I don't know. But I will. I'll see, because I've got family stuff as well, like my kids going off to camp. So I have to see the timetable here and how things play out. A lot of these trials that we were supposed to be covering, and I was just talking about this with the COE, are being continued. Corey Richins out in Utah was supposed to already happen, and then Donna Adelson was supposed to be going on. Donna Adelson was supposed to start today. Today it was supposed to start. Now that's been continued to August 19th. So it's been a bit of a weird time. Space Coast mentioning Patreon. We do have a Patreon page if you're interested in supporting us in that manner. And scary stuff. Yes, the gang stuff, both for Sean Diddy Combs and Charlie Adelson. And I mentioned on the show last night, I was talking to some former inmates who are saying that Sean Diddy Combs, because of what he did to these women, and every single inmate's got a mom, and prisoners don't like this, that Sean Diddy Combs himself, despite his celebrity, could become a rather big target in prison if he is convicted. So he's got to be worried. If he's exhibiting gangster-like behavior now, imagine him in the big house. He's going to try to run it like a mobster / gangster, but it might not work for him the same behind bars as it does in the real world. So there you go. That is, again, week 4, day 15 of testimony, and we will be back tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time, likely with a show on Charlie Adelson and what has been going on at his prison, where he was basically sent to be hidden in South Dakota. Well, now there's been a spate of gang-related fights. Is Charlie in the crosshairs? We're trying to find that out, but nevertheless, we'll get you some experts from South Dakota and discuss that tonight at 7. Please hit the like button and subscribe on the way out. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you later tonight.